Hey everyone, hope you're all doing really well. So looks like it's going to be a bit of a late night for me, finishing up some work in the study at home. However, while I am waiting for some machines to finish installing software and updates, etc., I thought that I would take a look at the connection between my Xbox One X and my gaming monitor, which is the Asus PG27UQ. Now, those of you who know your monitors will know that it really doesn't get any better. The Asus supports 144 Hz at 4K. It has the HDR 1000 certification, the G-Sync Ultimate certification. It uses a quantum dot IPS display. It has 144 local dimming zones. And if I remember correctly, the DCI-P3 coverage is 98%. This monitor is a beast. However, about a week ago, I noticed that when I am using the Xbox One X, I am unable to view HDR content in 4K. So what I did was I ordered a new HDMI cable from Amazon just to see if that was perhaps the issue. However, shortly before filming, I did take a look at the spec, the HDMI spec of both devices. Now, the Xbox One X does support HDMI 2.0B, which is the version that you need if you want to view HDR content at 4K. The monitor, on the other hand, only supports version HDMI 2.0, which does not support 4K at 60 Hz and HDR. So my hopes of solving the problem by simply replacing the cable that I have with a higher spec cable have been dashed. However, in the interest of this video, I am going to swap out the cable anyway and see maybe whether there's any way around the issue to get the 4K HDR working on the Xbox One X. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so before I do actually get around to doing that for you guys, just a quick view of what I am dealing with at the moment. MacBook Air with a faulty charging port. MacBook Pro that needs software installation. My own PC, which I am using to overclock and stress test a RTX 2080 Ti. There is a very awesome video on that coming up in the next week or two. Do keep an eye out for that one. Dell notebook that got an SSD upgrade that also needs a Windows update, and then a desktop PC which also got an SSD upgrade and also needs a Windows update. So just to give you guys an idea of what I am dealing with at the moment. The cable in question is from Zeskit. I have not ever heard of them before, but when I was looking for HDMI 2.0B cable on Amazon, this was the first result that popped up. I had a look at the specs and it looked perfect for my needs. This is only a 1 meter cable, but as you can see, the monitor and the Xbox are like literally right next to each other. So this is perfect, and obviously over shorter distances you have less problem with signal degradation, although you know the difference between a 1 meter and a 2 meter cable would be nothing. As we can see, it supports 4K at 60 Hz. It does support HDR as well, and a lot of other stuff as well. So let's have a look at the cable before we connect it. Will I be able to open this with one hand? So the quality of this cable is really good. It's nice and thick. It's got a thick braided cover. As I've said, not the longest. It does have gold-plated connectors as well. Now, the speed limitation for HDMI 2.0, if I remember correctly, is 18 gigabits per second. However, for HDMI 2.0B, that jumps up to 22. So if I did have a monitor that supported HDMI 2.0B, this would definitely have solved my problem. As it is, I'm probably going to be stuck with the same issue. But what I will be doing is I'm going to see if I drop the Xbox One X refresh rate down to 50 Hz, whether I am then able to view HDR content at 4K. So that is what I'm going to do right now. So in front of my PC at the moment, and I'm just going to punch in HDR into YouTube and have a look at one of the first videos that pops up. This is a really good looking video, and there we can see it has the HDR logo, and I can select it in 4K up to 4K resolution with HDR enabled. you will see some buffering because my internet connection is not the fastest, well, not at 4K anyway. So that works 100%. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to boot up the Xbox One X, and then I will just replicate the issue for you guys before I swap over the cable. Okay, so booted into the Xbox at the moment. Now the reason I do not have this issue on a PC is that the PC is connected to the DisplayPort connection, which has a load of bandwidth. You can very easily do 4K 60 Hz and high dynamic range. You can even do 4K up to 144 Hz, obviously, since that is a spec of the monitor, although you do then run into issues like chroma subsampling. So just as a side note, I do run the monitor at 120 Hz since I find the chroma subsampling very annoying. Anyway, if I go into YouTube here, oh man, this monitor is dirty. I need to give it a good clean sometime. Obviously, you are not going to get the effect of the HDR over the phone's recording, but just to show you guys exactly what I am referring to. As you can see there, the YouTube logo looking a lovely orange instead of that 90 bread. It's the same video that I was viewing on the Windows side of things. Okay, now if we go to more options and we go to quality, then we will see that I can only select up to 1440p. This is running in HDR at the moment, and as we've said, that is due to bandwidth limitations, and swapping out the cable not going to solve that, but let's do it anyway and then see what happens if I drop the refresh rate down to 50 Hz. So just a quick side note for anyone that is thinking of picking up one of these cables specifically, you probably will not want to go for the 1 meter. It's connected right in here, and here's where the Xbox is, and it is pretty much just long enough. I did think there would be a little bit more slack, but just something to keep in mind. Okay, back on the Xbox One X with the new cable. I'm just going to confirm that the issue is in actual fact still an issue. I do plan to pop a SSD into the Xbox One X at some point. We'll do a video on that as well. Okay, I'm going to open that up again. Just get back into the more options, quality. Yes, there we can see, we can still go up to 1440p. So I'm going to close YouTube and then see what happens if we go into settings and change the refresh rate to 50 Hz. Okay, so a very noob error on my part. I was somehow under the impression that I could set the refresh rate of the Xbox One X to 50 Hz, but there is only the allow 50 Hz option, which then takes effect when you are viewing 50 Hz content. So just something to keep in mind, guys and girls, if you are using an Xbox One X and you do plan to view 4K HDR content, you have to make sure that your display does support more than HDMI 2.0. It has to support HDMI 2.0A or 2.0B. So just something for you to keep in mind. So guys and girls, thanks for watching this very short video. It is time for me to get back to work. There are some really great videos coming up in the next week or two, so please stay tuned. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.